Hello, partner.
Hello, partner, and good evening to all of you. Good evening, and good evening, and happy Easter.
Happy Easter,
Easter.
partner.
Yeah,
So,
so Easter was very quiet. Obviously, it's the lockdown has been extended until next week. So yeah, so this is another week, and I'm looking forward to this week because something new is about to happen. So there.
correct. And so for sa mga ka-crown natin dyan, this is another crowning moment yet for us because it's another beautiful evening. It's Easter Sunday and we
Yay.
have a special guest. It's a very special episode with someone whom we've missed. I think the last time that we've seen her was in 2016 or on a billboard with Jag Jeans.
Yes.
She's very dear to us. Yeah, before that, I think you have something to promote. Alexa.
Yes, please, guys, please continue to subscribe to the Qrown YouTube page for more updates. So yeah, and later on, you can also visit the Facebook page and comment below on what you want to see. So, and also thank you to everybody who has been supportive because of our episodes in the past few weeks. You can check them out on YouTube and you can also check them out on Facebook. So, partner, this guest that we have, as you mentioned, is very special. As we all know, 5 years ago, to be exact, the universe actually became very, very fond of her. But of course, before the universe, she was Miss USA. And she was also a Miss World USA. So without further ado, please welcome Miss USA 2015 and Miss Universe 2015 second runner-up, Olivia Jordan.
Yeah!
Hello!
What an intro. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Honored.
We're very honored, Olivia. I know this is very early in the US. What time is it in there?
It's 8 a.m. here. So you guys got me going for the day, which is good because it's Easter and I feel like we have a little more freedom because there are so many vaccines here. But I am just seeing my parents and my sister and nephew today. So I'll get to spend more of the day with them, which is good.
Thank you again, Olivia, for waking up so early and making it.
Yeah.
Well, mga ka-crown, as you can see, we're going to have a discussion in English. So, partner, help me, okay? Throughout.
I'll definitely help out you on this for sure.
We're so excited about this, Olivia, and so I think we can start, but by definitely going back down to memory lane just a few years back in 2013 because we saw you first in Miss World 2013. I remember you were in the top 20 on a red gown and, representing, of course, the United States. Can you tell us more about your experience and how did you have the delegation to Miss World?
That was such a wild experience. They were in transition in the USA for how to get a delegate to go to Miss World. So they actually had a production company that had taken over and they had a casting. So I just went to a casting. I didn't get to compete in a formal pageant for that crown, but I went through a casting process and callbacks and, among all these other women, most of them had been in pageants before and I had been in a few at that point, but it was all very surreal and happened very fast. And so when they literally just called me and told me, you're going to be representing the USA at Miss World. So I was like, oh, this is my crowning moment.
So it was a casting process.
It was a true casting process at that time. Now, thankfully, they have reinstilled the program. It just was going through transitional times. But so I found out about 2 weeks before I was meant to go to Bali. So I had to get gown sponsors. I had to get all the, you know, the clothes, the things, the gifts, the everything that's required to go compete. It was quite a whirlwind, and I was so lucky, obviously, to be there and get to represent the USA and get to be in Bali for a month. It was so surreal.
Yeah, so you mentioned it was for casting of a production, but prior to that, was that really your goal to be casted for a beauty pageant, or was it the motivation at the back of your mind to join a beauty pageant one day?
I was very motivated to become an actress and model, and I just saw beauty pageants as this beautiful opportunity to open doors and also work in an advocacy and work on public speaking and all of the things that make these, you know, beauty queens so admirable. So I was drawn to it. I definitely knew more about Miss USA, Miss Universe. I knew very little about the Miss World system and all the other systems at that time. But I was so grateful to go. And I think that because of my experience at Miss World, it actually gave me a lot of confidence to go compete for Miss USA, which for me was a bigger goal. And I actually got to go, you know, have that pageant experience and have that crowning experience, not just a phone call that's like, okay, you're going on.
Right. Well, that was a wonderful backstory. But we're also interested in terms of the training that you underwent, because probably you're aware that here in the Philippines, girls are joining training camps before they join. And then the camps would form a team who will support them, and they go through a lot of different sessions. Was it the same thing for you, either when you were going to Miss World or Miss USA or Miss Universe?
That's my dream. I just want to walk into a room and tell someone, like, make me my best self. Like, what do I need to do? It's a little different here. I don't feel like I had all of that support going into Miss World. I did have a wonderful mentor, Kristen Bradford, and she's still a pageant coach. So I was so lucky to have her. But I was sort of naive and you know, didn't fully understand what I was getting into. Going into Miss USA, once I won Miss Oklahoma USA, then you have your state, the state franchise. Then they sort of like take over. So I was very lucky. I had John Vignata. It's like the Van Bros team, and they represent, I think, 6 or 7 different states. So then we, as like those 7 states, get together. So we start to have more of that support once you're going on to the national level. You get into this little squad, and you have more support, and you have more sponsor opportunities. So that's all game changing, and was a huge part of how I got to prepare for USA.
Well, so when you got the Miss USA title, it definitely came along with a lot of responsibilities, compared to when you got to be when you got the casting for Miss World.
Yeah.
So there were different projects, I believe, as a Miss USA. Which one do you think was the most memorable for you, or something that you supported the most?
Oh, we got to do so many amazing things as Miss USA. One of the highlights for me was working with Smile Train, which I believe the Miss Universe organization is still very involved with. But I got to go to Haiti and see the incredible work that they do firsthand. And it just motivated me so much on why what we're doing is important, the advocacy we can bring to these causes, the fundraising we can do. It's truly an incredible opportunity to actually change people's lives. And I got to see firsthand the work that we were doing in that way, why we were supporting these causes and why what they're doing matters.
So we're also interested, Olivia, because here we're exposed to how Miss Philippines is doing on a day-to-day basis. But as a Miss USA, how was a typical day for a Miss USA? How busy was it?
It's such an interesting schedule. I always had to be available, like 100% of the time. I could never, you know, like plan a beach day with girlfriends or like a dinner with my parents, you're always available. They can call you at any moment and say, be here for this interview or be here for this fundraiser. So it's very like on the go, and it always kind of seems to be last minute. But during my year, we were quite busy, very involved with a lot of the charities in the US, especially, and in New York City. And I got to do incredible things like go to film premieres, and I got to, meet wonderful people. So I actually really enjoyed the experience. I don't think I could have done it for more than a year because you're so tired by the end. You're like, I need my own schedule and I need time for naps.
Did you also get any day off as a Miss Universe USA?
Yes. You get occasionally, you kind of have to like advocate for yourself and say, I'm getting a little tired. Or they'll say, like you've gone 8 days straight, so you can have sort of a weekend now, even though it's a Tuesday. So there's no like traditional Monday through Friday work, but they absolutely, take care of, they need you to be well rested. They need you to be fresh at events. So they do take care of you in that way.
Wow, that was an amazing experience. Thank you for sharing that. So coming from the Miss USA pageant, and you also competed for the Miss Universe 2015. And well, of course, we can't help but go back to that specific event or scenario when you were with Pia, when she was announced as the first runner-up. And we just wanted to hear it from you firsthand, looking back, and then you saw Steve Harvey coming back at the center of the stage. What was going through your mind that time, and when you're beside Pia? Did you have any clue that it's gonna be a different thing?
Yes, his face was very clear that something was wrong. So just looking at him and we rehearse for weeks, so we know the choreography of the show. And at the end of the show, the host is not supposed to come back down to the front of the stage. So we definitely knew that something was up. I think because it was so surreal. It was just one of the most surreal moments of my life. But I was so lucky to be, standing next to Pia, of course, and she was in shock of what was going on, and she didn't want to, step forward if what she was hearing wasn't what she was hearing. So I got to reinforce that and say, you are Miss Universe, which, still is such a wonderful moment for me. I feel sorry for her that this is still her crowning moment, and is still, this is how we look back on it, was this moment that should have been just pure joy and no controversy. And unfortunately, it was what it was. But she, had such a wonderful year that all of that overshadows just that one odd moment.
And I would have to say it's one of the pure moments when the camera captured your emotion as you were speaking to Pia. Normally we say that we get to know one's character when you put them, when you catch them off guard, and your personality and the emotion that you projected was more of a supportive delegate to Miss Philippines during that time. And yeah, so Alexa, I think you have a question.
Yes, I want to just ask Olivia, because obviously we all know that you and Pia are good friends. But aside from Pia, who were the other girls that you became close to during your time with the pageant? And have you been in touch with some of them in the past few years?
Yes, my roommate was Miss Great Britain, Nina France, and she was incredible. Ironically, I am now, married to a man from London. So the first time that I went to meet his family, Nina also met up with us, and she showed us around London, and we had such a wonderful time. She's still such a beautiful woman in my life. But it was kind of like a small group. I had learned at Miss World where I tried to meet everyone, and I spent so much time socializing that I was exhausted and couldn't focus on the task. So I think at Miss Universe, I was more like, you know, Nina and I would spend a lot of time together. We would spend time with sort of because you're assigned a group. So with my group, I spent a lot of time with those girls, which was like Miss Netherlands, Miss Ireland. Like we all were sort of a pod, and, you know, not intentionally being cliquey, but just the sort of the nature of we had lunch at our certain time. And, you know, so we were together often, but yeah, they're wonderful women. And I still, you know, look to them. We don't stay in super close touch, but I still admire all these women.
Right. Yeah, and I would like to know, you know, aside from what happened with Steve, what were some of the most memorable experiences that you had competing in Las Vegas in 2015?
It's funny. It's like the simple moments. You spend so much time rehearsing. I just remember like just all of us kind of, the rehearsal studio is so freezing. And we're all trying to be cute, you know, we're wearing our cute clothes and our heels, but it's freezing in there. So everyone kind of like huddles together. That Miss Universe is when I started drinking coffee, because you would have such long days that I needed that, you know, energy. But Nina and the girls taught me to drink coffee and just like do a little splash of cream in it. And we would like hold it for warmth and like kind of huddle together to stay warm. So that's like one of my fond memories, which seems, you know, so nothing, but we would just kind of like giggle together and, you know, and try to focus on rehearsing, but also try to enjoy the little breaks that we got.
Right. So, and then after the pageant, Olivia, we're also interested because you became roomies, or you shared the same apartment with Miss Universe, with Pia. And we're interested in terms of what were some of the activities that you had? I mean, you spent in the apartment. Like, did you get to cook for each other, or were you cooking for yourself, or how was it in the apartment?
We so rarely cooked. Cooking was, looking back, I'm like, I should have learned so much from you because Pia's such a good cook. But we really rarely, we just didn't have time to do, you know, the grocery run and put everything together. So we often had, you know, meals as part of the work we were doing. But we did occasionally order pizza or frozen yogurt. We had like those little treat nights where we would just kind of do a girls' night. And when Catherine Hike would be in town, and, you know, or Miss Teen, and she would be sleeping there too, we would all just kind of like barrel in on the couch and like do girl chat and have frozen yogurt and pizza and just, you know, relax.
Were there house rules in the apartment also? Was there a curfew or?
Yes, there were so many rules. We had a chaperone living with us. So we, there was, you know, no boys in the apartment, really like no outside guest. You would have to get anyone approved, you know, like if my sister wanted to come visit or something, you'd have to get that approved first. So in some ways it was funny because I was, I think, you know, 26, or I don't even remember how old I was. I was 26, I think. So it was funny because you kind of revert into like this, you know, teenage kind of thing where it's like, we would like, you know, talk about, okay, can we, you know, can we stay out a little later? Like, will we be in trouble? You know, like we like, you just never know. You like, you want to follow the rules, of course, and be respectful, but also some of the rules were a little extreme and would be like, okay, do we have to do that?
How about leaving food on the refrigerator? Do you also like write your name on the container? This is mine. No one eats this.
The food was pretty communal. I think it was kind of, we were pretty generous with our food. And yeah, I think like if someone had leftovers that were specific, like you would leave that for them. But luckily it didn't get catty, that it was like, you can't drink orange juice. We didn't have any of that.
All right. Okay. I think we have our first question here. Christina is asking you, Olivia, did you have Miss Universe contestants that you didn't get to know during the competition, but got to know after the pageant?
Well, from my year, not so much just for my experience, but I did through Nia Sanchez. She stays in such good touch with everyone. She's just one of those people that she's like such a good networker and so good at, you know, messaging her friends and all of that. So I got to meet a lot of people from her class when I was actually in the Philippines. Was the first time that I got to meet them, and we like went to Palawan together. And so it was amazing because I got to have this expanded sisterhood that was not even my year, but it was like we all shared these similar experiences.
All right. Before we go to other questions, I want to ask from your experience. You came to Manila in 2016 to be a judge for Binibining Pilipinas. As someone who has competed in Miss USA and who has judged, who became a judge in the Philippine pageant, how would you describe the experience compared to probably what you've seen in the US? Because I'm sure you're aware that pageantry here is really something, you know, it's like a national sport for us.
Yes, the fans in the Philippines are unlike anywhere in the world. So that energy is so contagious. I mean, you want to like jump up and like cheer. As a judge, it's very hard because you don't want to, you know, give away emotion or cheer for someone. You know, you have to be neutral and take in everyone, which actually is a tiny bit hard because the audience is so loud that it does slightly influence in the back of your mind. They're like, okay, if all of these people love this delegate so much, like I need to, you know, be paying attention, but you don't want to overdo that because there could be some fan favorites and some that are being overlooked that also are talented, but just that the public doesn't know about quite yet. So
it'd be a dark horse.
Yes, you do. Yes, the dark horse, totally. You don't want to totally weigh into the audience, but that as a judge is hard in the Philippines because they're loud.
So at least, but so basically you had a lot. But did you had fun? Because you know it was. I know that from your experience as a judge that night, there was probably a lot of debate that happened inside that room to who should get this, who should be sent to this, and stuff like that.
I didn't know the process of how you guys do that. Like in the US, we're competing for Miss USA and that's it. You know, there's only one winner. Oh, the process in the Philippines, it's intense because you have to it's not just like who's your favorite, it's like who's the most fit for this pageant and, you know, who has the highest chance of success of getting that international crown, of getting that, you know, of getting the highest level. So it's very, very intense that I like lost sleep that night over the judges room because it's just such high energy and you want to make the best decision for these women, for the Philippines. Oh, it was intense.
Yeah, all right. Partner?
Yeah, definitely. Even after the Binibining Pilipinas judging stint, you still stayed for a couple of days, right?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy some food or did you get to tour around?
Yes, I got to do a few things. I got to, you know, go to a market. I ate a lot of fresh fruit. You guys have the best fruit. Oh man. And got to meet wonderful people. I was so lucky. And then I went back again for Miss Universe that year. So that I'm so grateful for my experiences in the Philippines. I want to go back someday. I want to bring Jay. I want him to see, you know, the islands, and it's just a place unlike any other. So I'm so lucky that I ever have gotten to go, and hope one day I'll get to go back.
Yeah.
Hey,
all right.
that's good news.
Okay. All right. We have another question for you here. This is regarding your judging in Binibining Pilipinas. Was Kylie Versosa one of your favorites to win that time when you were a judge?
I loved Kylie. I just thought she had such an energy. She was very like sassy on stage, which I liked. Like you just kind of had to look at her. I knew she was meant to go on to do, you know, big things. So I think it all worked out how it was supposed to. And she, of course, you know, went on for even bigger things. But yeah, it's hard. It's so hard to decide in that moment, you know, who should go on to Miss Universe and who should go on to something else. And it was intense.
All right.
And it's not just one person. Thankfully, I didn't have to make that decision on my own.
All right, there's another question here from Robert, and the question is, there are previous Miss Universe and beauty queens from other countries who entered the entertainment industry here in the Philippines. Given the chance, would you consider working here as an actress?
I would definitely consider it. I have loved my experiences in the Philippines. I would love Jay to come. It would be very hard if I was working there and Jay was, you know, working in LA or somewhere here. So ideally, we both could go there maybe for a year or something and both get some work. But I'm open to it. I've loved my experience there.
All right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So at this point, Olivia, before we move to the next segment, we are gonna have some icebreaker. And we call this portion the Instagram photo rate. So we kind of got through some photos on your Instagram page and on the Miss Universe page. And we're going to flash a couple of photos, and you can provide some fun bits or just a story of the picture. Our first photo is coming right up.
All right, here's the. There it is.
Oh, how cute!
Milo, he's so grown up now. This was the day that we adopted Milo, our rescue pup, and it was love at first sight. I love him so much. Still do.
Yeah, and Milo. How old is he?
He's 2 years now.
I see. Actually, he has been featured in the past few days in your Instagram stories, to be exact.
Yeah. Yes, I love him so much.
All right.
Cute photo. Next.
Next photo. Okay. Where's the okay. So while we're waiting for the second photo to be up, here it is.
Oh my gosh, J-Lo. Okay, I am the biggest J-Lo fangirl. It's like, she's my idol, my icon. I want to be her. You can see in this photo, I did like the high pony in honor. In retrospect, never wear the high pony next to J-Lo because you can never do the high pony as good as J-Lo, but lesson learned. But this was my last night as Miss USA, my final. This was the end. And this was actually sort of a gift from the Miss Universe organization that Pia and I got to go together and see her in Vegas. And it was such a fun night and like the most wonderful send-off into, you know, what would come next, because J-Lo is the ultimate representation that you never stop. You just go for the next goal. You keep evolving and you keep going on to big things.
All right. Yes. Okay. But before, as we wait for the third photo, I just wanted to ask, because when you were passing the crown, I wanted to ask, you got also actually to watch the Backstreet Boys, right? Before the crowning. Am I not?
Oh, no. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how was it? Because it was obviously everybody, because I know that the Backstreet Boys were also performing, if I'm not mistaken, they had what you call, I believe it's like their they performed there as part of a tour in hotels, right? So how was it? How was it to like see the guys perform?
That whole night was very surreal because I'm like, you know, doing costume changes. I'm literally hugging everyone goodbye because all of these people on production that I've worked with for the last year, you're like, I leave, you know, the next within that show, I go from being like, you know, part of the family to be like, next we have our new girl. So it was a very surreal moment. I don't even remember watching the Backstreet Boys because I was literally so busy like hugging makeup goodbye and hugging, you know, all of our team. It was an emotional and beautiful night, but unfortunately I totally missed the Backstreet Boys.
Well, at least you got to meet J-Lo before.
Yes.
J-Lo. All right, third photo coming up.
Oh.
This one, yes.
Yes. Our wedding day. This was November 8th, 2019. And just one of the happiest moments of my entire life. I don't think anything will top it. And I think you can just tell our faces. We were so excited and happy. And it was the wedding of our dreams. You know, it was like 70 degrees outside and perfect. And we had just our very closest friends and family there. And especially now that we've done this whole year of lockdown, we are so, so grateful that we got to have that celebration. And my heart just breaks for all the people that are having to put that off or reconfigure. And yeah.
All right, now, okay, now we're moving
on to our fourth photo.
Yeah.
This one I think was very inspirational. One of your inspirational posts, Olivia. And this post was up on your Instagram like 4 days after the Miss Universe pageant.
Yes.
A lot of people really got so very inspired about, especially about the quote. I think, let me read that to everyone.
Okay. I want to say, before you read it, this quote, it's always misattributed to me. It's actually Danny Walker. But read the quote because it's incredible and her words are so inspiring.
Okay.
Correct. So it says, sometimes it's just not for us, the job, the interview, the man, or in this case, the crown. Sometimes it's just for someone else, not because they are better, more qualified, prettier, nicer, superior to us, but because it is their opportunity, not ours. And that's okay because our opportunities, our job, our interview, the man of our dreams are not for them either. They're ours, and they're often right on the other side of rejection. So it's a very inspirational quote that we posted on the Instagram. So thank you for inspiring everyone. I think, well, personally, it's something that I always refer to, you know, every time that things don't go my way. And it's like, you know, a message that you're not really rejected, but definitely redirected to something else. And it's your own journey.
Yeah. So. And I believe we're all, you know, divinely guided, and where the things that aren't meant for us really do lead us to the things that are. So yes, it's hard in the moment to feel that rejection, but just know that even better, greater things are ahead. And the people that are filling those roles or dating those guys or whatever it is, that's meant for them. So like, we've got to celebrate that and uplift those people as well.
All right. Yeah. Oh, and the final photo is, I think, is something that is very special to you because it was actually here that it was given to you.
Oh my gosh. The best. This was, of course, my national costume was an absolute moment for me. One of my, you know, lifelong looking up to, I would always look up to the Victoria's Secret models with their wings and, you know, their confidence on stage. And so when I was talking about national costume, I was like, this is my, you know, Victoria's Secret moment. Let's have the wings. And so the US symbol, our animal is an American eagle, of course. So I was an eagle, but in a very glamorous way. But I am absolutely obsessed. This is the most perfect depiction of my costume. Like, this is spot on. He captured every detail. It's incredible.
Yeah. And it's actually, I think, I believe that doll was actually given to you, if we're not mistaken.
I don't have it. It was presented to me, and it was beautiful, but I believe the designer still has it. I believe.
Oh, okay.
I'm blanking on his name, but yes, absolutely. I'm okay not even having it because I know it exists in the world and it brings me joy. Yes, Ian Lorenz, thank you.
Yeah, actually, just a fact, just something interesting for you to know, Olivia. Ian is now also training some of the girls here in the Philippines.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I'm so excited. I need to reconnect.
Yeah. So there, that ends the Instagram photo raid, and we are now on to the next segment, which I think is something is what people are wanting to know: life after pageantry. We all know that you got married, guys. She's married to Jay Hector. For those who do not know, Jay is actually an actor himself. So I want to know from you first, Olivia, because being a public figure and him also in the business, how do you two, how do you two agree upon on things about what to share and what not to share, given that you both live public life, technically public life, a public
life. So you mean as far as like on social media?
Social media,
yes.
You know, what you share with friends and that's just yourself.
Yes. So we have a very open communication, but we also, I think, fully trust each other that we aren't gonna, overstep. So I think for a while it was an adjustment for Jay because I was like doing a lot of bikini modeling. I did like Sports Illustrated, and he was like, this is a lot to date someone that's, just so open and in bikinis and doing these like sexier photos. But I was like, this is, part of the package. You married a Miss USA. So just having that conversation and understanding and embracing each other was the key, I think.
All right. And the other one is, what was before you got married? What was, aside from the modeling, what was keeping you busy back then?
Before I got married?
Yeah, before finally marrying Jay at that time.
Mostly modeling. I was, very busy for a while. This past year has been a transition of, finding new ways that I can do things differently. I think for all of us, we're learning how to do things differently. But I'm more focused on the acting side now. And I am studying acting. I am in class every week, and I am just really encouraged by the things that are being created out of this crazy year. And I'm looking forward to that next chapter of working more in film and television.
All right. Here we have another question here. Well, actually, this is related to Jay. How did you know him? And I hope greetings also from Ivan Ordonez. Yeah.
Hi, Ivan.
Yeah.
I met Jay hiking, actually, which is just the most random thing. But I had been in an audition that morning. And then went on a hike after. Jay was hiking with a friend of his that she was also an actress, and she introduced us on that hike because she and I had literally seen each other that morning. So she introduced us, and it was sort of like this awkward, how do you get to know someone on a hike? And it wasn't like planned. We had like run into each other on the trail. So I was like, okay, bye, and sort of ran off. And thankfully he followed up and tracked me down.
This was after the Miss Universe stint.
Yes.
Oh.
A lesson out there that sometimes you meet people in the most unexpected ways, I guess.
Absolutely, yes.
Hiking.
Get out there. But not now. We're still in quarantine.
Yeah, not right now, but yes.
All right. Yeah. The other question I wanted to ask you is because after Miss USA, have you been approached by a lot of candidates or who want to be in the pageant scene, for advice, for can you train me? Yeah. I think I'm at some point, I'm sure you probably were asked, you've been asked this in some interviews as well.
Yes, I don't think that I'm the person to train delegates. I think it's just like such a specific skill set. And there's so many incredible coaches already out there that I didn't want to take up space in that land. I direct people to Kristen Bradford. I direct people to, I don't know if you guys remember, you know, Susie Castillo and Shandy Fennessy. They have a coaching company. I worked with them in preparation. So, and now Nia Sanchez is coaching quite often. So I just think that there's incredible women. I think Deshauna may be doing interview coaching. She was for a minute, I'm not sure. So there's so many incredible women, and I think they have different ways of doing it that are interesting and unique. And I didn't feel like I could add anything to the space.
I see. So yeah, that's something that you probably been asked. Now, before we get to the other questions, I want to ask about, you know, in 5 years, so many things have changed in the world of pageantry. So I want to know from you, as Miss USA, what are some of the observations that you've seen in how the girls carry themselves these days?
Yes, so I mean, so much has changed. I think change is good. I think we're always, you know, evolving and trying new things and trying, you know, to shift focus. So I think it's good to experiment and keep pageants relevant, not just for today, but for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. So I think they have to explore and experiment. I'm amazed that pageants have been going on through this year of lockdowns and quarantines and all of that. I'm so, you know, eager and nervous for Miss Universe, because I just think logistically getting women in from all over the world, it's just a lot going on. So I will definitely be rooting for the pageant to go off without a hitch, and we'll be cheering everyone on. It will be very different, I think, because they won't have as many in-person fans. So that will be really different for the women. But I'm glad that the show is going on.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things that we always admire about the Miss USA competition is that they're not really afraid to ask tough questions, especially political questions. And as someone who has been in the position and has answered a Miss USA question, how do you think, or how do you prepare to answer questions, and considering that it may draw some mixed reactions? I think during your time you were asked about gun control for the final question. How do you prepare for tough questions?
I think you just have to be very informed, and I think you also have to be in practice. I think that is why coaching is so important, because even if you know about these issues, even if you're well-versed, unless you have been practicing doing a concise 45-second answer, then you're going to stumble on your words. You're not going to get through it. So I think that pageant coaching is key in that way. Interview coaching, on stage question prep. And just going through, if you go through the hot topic, you know, news articles that are affecting, you know, your nation and the world, that's the best way to prepare and have people like really drill you on it and challenge you on it.
All right. Okay. Well, the other one I want to know, Olivia, is that obviously as a public figure, you have your fair share of criticisms. And you know, you're only a human being who also gets annoyed and pissed off. But where do you draw the line? Are you the type of person who simply ignores it, or when it's too much to handle, you speak up and say what you want to say?
Yeah, it's definitely finding a balance, right? I think sometimes it doesn't affect me and I can just let it ride. But sometimes there's things that people say that it doesn't just affect me if you call me those names or use those words or, you know, insult me in that way. It affects all the young girls that follow me that are reading that comment. So I think when people say things that can hurt not just me, but anyone reading it, then I get like a little more, like I need to say something. I need to make sure that people know that this isn't okay with me.
All right. Before we go to to our final question, here are a few more questions from some of the fans. Emma Hernando is asking, how do you continue to use your voice to promote your advocacies? And how do you manage how do you manage to do it given the situation at the present? Referring to obviously the restrictions of COVID-19.
Yeah, it's definitely different. This whole year has been different, and it forces us to think differently and do things differently. I think probably for me, it's been like a little more behind the scenes on how I could help things. I haven't been, as out, like, in public. And then I think utilizing social media, we have this great gift that we can share causes, and you don't even have to have a huge following or anything. I think if we all just speak out about the things that are important to us, we can educate each other, we can learn from each other. And I think that's, one of the greatest tools, one of the greatest plus sides of social media.
Right. Here's another one from Lawrence, and the question is, okay, do you have any favorites now for the upcoming Miss Universe to be held in Florida this coming May?
I don't think that I'm tuned in enough to like announce my favorites, because I feel like I kind of need to see the full gamut. Like, I only know about a few of them, but I'm going to keep those to myself.
All right.
There's some strong contenders, I will say.
Oh yeah, and so you guys just have to watch out on Olivia's social media accounts, which she will likely share who she thinks are the ones to watch out for. So we still have technically 2 months to, well, not really 2 months, about a month and a half before the Miss Universe fever strikes in Florida. All right. The final question from us actually is that, I think it's good to end because it's also Easter Sunday, Easter here, both in the US and here in the Philippines. What lessons can you share with people about your journey in pageantry, given what you've gone through in these past few years?
I think the greatest lesson takeaway that I had from going through pageants was just, if you have a calling on your heart, if you have like a tug on your heartstrings, go follow it. Because I think that through pursuing these goals, whether you meet them or not, whether you become Miss Universe or not, they challenge you and force you to grow and level up and learn more things about yourself and the world. So I think that's my greatest takeaway from pageants, is keep challenging yourself, keep growing, and know that you deserve great, wonderful things.
All right. Oh, and before we forget, we're all curious because obviously you're now expecting on the way. So we don't know yet if it's a boy or a girl. But some people congratulations. But some people have already been wanting us to ask you, regardless, well, if it was a girl, would you and Jay allow your future daughter to join any of these competitions? And Miss USA, perhaps?
I love that hypothetical. I think I am going to let our child, no matter who they are, tell us who they want to be in the world. So I don't think I would push pageants on them, but certainly if that was, something that was calling them, then I would say, okay, let's do it. Let's try it out.
All right. And with that, we wrap up everything for tonight. First of all, Olivia, thank you for gracing this interview. We know it's been a long time, and as we said earlier before we went on air, that we know that you and Jay have been preparing a lot of things there in your home. So, partner.
Thank you again, Olivia. But again, just like how we're doing, our guests would do it before we close, we would like you to also exclaim like your name and say "Koronahan na yan." So it means crown her in Filipino. So you can just say your name and "Koronahan na yan."
Okay. Yeah. Olivia Jordan, Qrown na yan.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. And guys, please don't forget to follow Olivia. Olivia, the floor is yours. Where can they follow you
Yes.
on social media.
Yes, keep up with me. I'm mostly on Instagram and Facebook, the Olivia Jordan. If you do facebook.com/the Olivia Jordan, I'll come up and come hang out. Look forward to spreading joy with you.
All right, and we hope that you and Jay will come here very soon when things are all ready. All right, partner, this has been a very, very memorable one for both of us. You know,
It's a dream interview for us. Thank you,
yes,
Thank you for staying up late.
yes, and
Staying up late with me.
yeah, and guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Qrown Conversations. Good night from Manila and good morning from the United States.
Happy Easter. Thank
Happy
you.
Easter. Happy Easter.